My fellow St. Lucians, good evening. I want to start this evening by giving thanks to God for sparing St. Lucia from the worst of Hurricane Elsa, which continues to wreak havoc through the region. We lost a precious life in the person of Peter Victor of Fonsaint-Jacques, who sadly perished in the storm, and I want to offer my deepest personal sympathies to his family and friends. The island suffered some agricultural damage, in particular to our banana and plantation crops, our fisher folk, and our greenhouses. Some schools and other government buildings were damaged, and many people lost roofs over their homes. However, from speaking to people all over the island, my tour to assess the damage done, everyone seems to be of one voice, that we must be grateful to God that it wasn't far worse. It is said that adversity strengthens our resolve to overcome and succeed. Our Caribbean icon Bob Marley put it this way: "You never know how strong you are until being strong is your only choice." Facing what is perhaps the greatest challenge we've ever experienced, we must continue to be strong. We all know that a kite rises highest against the wind. And we have surely been battered by the cruel winds of this pandemic. But I know that through our faith and our own efforts, we shall not only overcome, but we will prosper. St. Lucia, along with the entire world, has witnessed an event of epic proportions that will affect life as we knew it in many ways. If we look back through history, we can find events that forever altered our existence. I believe we are living through such a time now. Life will surely never be the same again. How we decide to move forward from 15 months of lockdowns, social distancing, illness, fear, loneliness, remote work, and regrettably the loss of some of our loved ones will impact the lives of generations to come. How we rebuild our lives and readjust to what is now the new normal will define our generation and lay the foundation for the future. It is therefore critical that we take these steps together as a nation, and very importantly, we get it right. I am proud that the work of my government had resulted in a stable foundation for this country on which to build, and was trending in the right direction when the pandemic arrived, like an unwelcome dinner guest in March of last year. Where we go from here is what we need to discuss as a country, and how we look at what has happened is critical. We know that the past 18 months have been an enormous challenge. We could also see that the direction this government has been going in has been the right one. That we have an incredible opportunity to continue to build a brand new, progressive St. Lucia. A St. Lucia where every child has the same opportunities for learning. A St. Lucia where every citizen has access to world-class, affordable healthcare. A St. Lucia where, whether through tourism, agriculture, or small businesses, every family can earn a comfortable living. A St. Lucia that is both inclusive and equitable. A St. Lucia where everyone has an opportunity to prosper. Everyone has been dealt a hard blow by the pandemic, but I know some have had it tougher than others. As a government, we've tried our best to help the most vulnerable amongst us. Amidst the challenges, there are signs that things are getting better. With the global rollout of vaccines, tourism is poised to make a significant recovery during the last quarter of this year and drive other commercial activity in the country to re-employ people and create new jobs. St. Lucia is in very high demand for global travelers. The past 4 months have witnessed a steady increase in tourism arrivals. And our US numbers for June and July are even stronger than the same period in our record-breaking year of 2019. Our decision to open the island for business kept hotels opened and allowed our tourism workers to put food on their tables and to pay their bills. We are proud and excited that our efforts to attract cruise tourism has worked, which we can all see by the arrival of our first returning cruise ship, which came in last week. There is no doubt that St. Lucia is getting back on track. As we've done with air travelers before, we will manage the reintroduction of the cruise ship passengers cautiously and strategically. Our stay of arrivals broke records in each succeeding year from 2016 to 2019. So we know how to attract visitors to our shores. As life returns to some sense of normalcy, we must be poised to seize the moment. Careful planning and considerable effort are required, and we must have a clear vision for the future. My team is on the job and will keep working with you and for you to ensure that we come out of the pandemic stronger than before. As you can see from the major infrastructural works taking place island-wide, we've started to lay the groundwork. Our progress over the last 5 years can be measured in many ways. It can be measured in the improved quality of healthcare now available to St. Lucians. Can you imagine the outcome today if we had not opened the Owen King EU Hospital? Left shuttered and abandoned by the SLP before COVID arrived on our shores? Had we not taken the early decision to convert Victoria Hospital to a specialist respiratory care facility, the healthcare system would have been totally overwhelmed, and the toll on human life disastrous. We grieve the loss of every single St. Lucian who succumbed to this virus, and we extend our sympathies to their families and loved ones. We know it's not been easy, but gradually we're seeing that we are getting the better of the virus. And if we continue to follow the protocols and get vaccinated, we can move beyond this worldwide catastrophe. I want to ask that you continue to help us to help you by following the proven advice of our public health professionals and get the vaccine to protect yourself, your family, your friends, and our country. Millions of people worldwide have taken the vaccine, and countries where the vaccination rate is high are gradually reopening with much reduced risk of another major outbreak. There's nothing to prevent us from doing the same thing. But we need to overcome our fears and get the vaccine. It's the only way forward. In addition to the opening of OK EU, significant progress has been made in the new St. Jude's Hospital that the SLP, after spending $124 million, allowed to languish unfinished as a result of poor project management, a flawed design, and faulty construction decisions. It's one of the most egregious examples of gross mismanagement and financial wastage in the history of this country. Imagine what that $124 million could do now for the people of this country. The long-suffering people and medical professionals of the South will soon have the high-quality hospital that they have waited so long for and that they so richly deserve. The country will be hard-pressed to ever repay the debt of gratitude it owes to those fine medical professionals and support staff while they await the much-anticipated opening of the new hospital. Aware of the need to increase health services island-wide, our government made the investment in 3 new community health clinics in Dennery, Ancillary, and Micoud, and renovated and expanded at least 14 satellite community clinics around the country, which have also helped to expand and improve the quality of primary health care available. Despite the demands of COVID, we remain focused on introducing a health care insurance program, which is critical to providing the funding to strengthen healthcare services. I'm happy to report the legislation has been drafted and we are soon to launch this program. These are the actions of a government that truly cares about the health of our people. Progress can also be measured in the significant improvements in education and the completely new approach to modernizing the curriculum and the use of information technology as a teaching and learning tool. The pandemic brought into sharp focus inequities among our students in terms of access to Wi-Fi and devices to allow learning from home. This has been a challenge seen across the world in countries far richer than ours. But our cabinet was adamant that we should turn this challenge into an opportunity for our children. As a result, over 8,000 tablets and 4,000 MiFi devices have been given to secondary school students in forms 2, 3, and 4, and to teachers across the country. The experience gained on these mobile devices will catapult our children firmly into the future learning environment provided by the smart classrooms being steadily built out in all of our schools. The previous laptop program started by the last SLP administration had only targeted Form 3 students. It was an empty gesture as the children had no access to the necessary software programs or any training for the teachers to make the devices useful in the classrooms. This government is determined that our children will not be left behind as the world around us scrambles to right itself and to move forward in the 3rd decade of this new millennium. Alongside a curriculum that will give the best chance of being successful in whatever path they choose in life, we've improved the conditions in which our children learn with a new primary school in Dennery, a new secondary school in Choiseul, 3 new early childhood development centers in Jacmel, Monchy, and Micoud, and repairs and refurbishment to many other schools. More improvements are in the works with the addition of new wings at the Gordon and Walcott Methodist and Vide-Boutet Primary School in Castries, and refurbishment works at the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College. We've also just commenced construction on a new primary school at in Laguerre. We're working for our children because we care about their future. We want them to be the best that they can be, and we're not prepared to leave it to chance. They will be the ones to ensure our success in the new world, driven by technology. One of the most alarming situations we found when we assumed office in 2016 was a feeble economy with no bankable plan for growth. The very real effect of this was no jobs for over 25% of the people who wanted to work. Among young people, the number was even more staggering. 44%. Amazingly, before the pandemic in 2019, this government was able to reduce the unemployment rate to an incredible 16%. Youth unemployment had also fallen to 31% by 2019. Remember, the SLP criticizing the jobs created at Ojo Labs and ITEL BPO and the many other training opportunities provided by this government? Remember all the threats to close Ojo? How sad that the Labour Party continues to play politics with people's lives and livelihoods and was willing to jeopardize these amazing opportunities for our young people to continue to excel, grow, and prosper in these positions. The many thousands of young people who love working at the new call centers in the newly developed South will certainly never support any efforts to shut these places down by the people who continue to always put politics first. These young people have come too far and have too much promise to allow persons with dishonest and disingenuous agendas to steal their future. The number of young people who would be unemployed if the Labour Party had remained in office would be frightening. We've also worked diligently to roll out the village tourism initiative in Soufrière, Anse-Lorraine, and Gros-Islet. As infrastructural improvements are made, visitors will be able to enjoy an authentic St. Lucian experience of a high standard, from lodging and restaurants to eco-tours and other attractions. Equally, the quality of life for residents will improve as they benefit from enhanced surroundings and new and job wealth creation opportunities. Reports are that residents are excited by the potential for personal advancement, and we're looking forward to the safe restart of the travel industry. The SLP has predictably criticized the infrastructure projects that we had in train before the pandemic hit. This reflects a fundamental lack of understanding about the economy and about the correlation between infrastructure and economic growth. Those projects provided a weekly paycheck to thousands of St. Lucians and relief for thousands more from the bone-shaking roads that the SLP left behind in its wake of neglect. Even though they may not all drive a Range Rover, all St. Lucians deserve proper roads. Just as they deserve safer bridges at Canneries, Tomazo, and Cul-de-Sac. Just as our women especially deserve relief from having to take 2 pairs of shoes to get through muddy tracks on their way to work. Who could be so mean-spirited and short-sighted to talk about eating roads when people's lives are made significantly easier and convenient by an improved road network? Our projects have resulted in not only better roads, but better drainage, sidewalks, upgraded markets for vendors and shoppers in Castries, Gros-Islet, Soufrière, and Choiseul, to name a few. The fact remains that these projects allowed many people to eat and help sustain their families, and our improved infrastructure will give us a competitive advantage once we fully open to business. In fact, construction island-wide has been at a level not seen in many years. For the past 18 months, contractors and workers have been kept busy and gainfully employed. In fact, some say they have never been busier. We're getting back on track. We cannot make the mistake of turning back now and trusting our future to the same old labor, the same tired ideas and failed ideologies, and an inability to implement, which got our country into economic and social mess that we've spent the last 5 years fixing. Let's face it, labor is a spent force. We all know it. A directionless party devoid of leadership will be a directionless government devoid of leadership. Our government has undertaken major housing developments in Beauchamp, Lafargue, Forestier, Choc, and Talvern. This has been an important part of our mandate to make quality, affordable housing available to more St. Lucians. And every single lot has been sold, confirming that our people were in dire need of such housing opportunities. And your government has taken active steps to address these needs. Expanding the water network in Capitol Hill, Canneries, Vieux Fort, Labrie, Fort-Capêche, Dennery, Millette, Belvedere, and Micoud South has made an enormous difference in the lives of the residents there. One of our proudest achievements is the effort and the investment that we've put into agriculture and fisheries. The list is long and impressive, and there isn't time to go into all the details now. But one of the hallmarks is the launch of the just this week of the private-public partnership, the Love St. Lucia Premier Corner with Massey Supermarkets. Massey will use its distribution chain for the locally grown 7-crop project of cantaloupes, lettuce, tomatoes, pineapples, watermelons, cabbage, and bell peppers. I want to thank Massey for providing this space, as well as the Republic of China Taiwan for its technical advice and funding assistance of the 7 Crops project. This one project embodies so many aspects of what we're working so hard to achieve: food security, sustainability, income creation, job security, poverty reduction, entrepreneurship, and wholesome food. I hope you will support the Premium Corner as part of our worthwhile Buy Local campaign, because you will get high quality produce while supporting your brothers and sisters in the farming community. You can now show that you care too. Another of this government's success stories that gives me immense personal satisfaction is the strides made in youth development. In addition to the improvements in education, we deliberately chose to put our young people at the center of the development process. Sport is the primary vehicle being used to instill discipline and team building, develop athletic talent, provide alternate employment possibilities, develop healthy bodies, and deliver wholesome activities away from the drug and gang culture. From the new National Sports Academy in Gros-Islet in the north to Grace in the south, and 9 other communities in between, we've upgraded 11 playing fields in our young people, including a world-class mini stadium at Soufrière. I want to thank the many social organizations and youth groups who have helped to make this unprecedented investment in our young people a reality. Sport facilities are only part of the story, though. The government has facilitated the creation of over 2,000 new jobs in the ICT sector, aimed mainly at young people. When you add this to the National Apprenticeship Program in Vieux Fort, the Skills for Youth Employment Program, and the training of over 900 young people in various technical vocational programs, It is clear that this UWP government cares about our young people. It's easy to talk about how important the youth are, but action speaks louder than words. And we have backed up our belief in the youth and the promises we made to them with firm, decisive actions, resulting in the creation of thousands of new jobs and a reduction in the youth unemployment from 44% to 31%. In addition, we've invested millions into the creative industries, providing platforms for our talented artists, songwriters, and producers to be gainfully employed. We've collaborated with our young people and creative talent to ensure that Carnival has surpassed the St. Lucia Jazz and Arts Festival in terms of economic impact and opportunity. In fact, and we all know this, the 2020 Carnival was already sold out by the time we went into lockdown and was poised to be the largest event in the history of St. Lucia. Our government has also invested significantly in security. A year ago, we commenced the installation of nearly 2,000 CCTV cameras, which will be installed island-wide. We increased the resources and to strengthen the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, as well as the Forensic Lab. We created a city police force specially to target crime in the city of Castries and to make our citizens feel safer. I know the entire island will have celebrated with us 2 weeks ago when our negotiations with the US government ended with the resolution of the impacts of fear, which has hovered over our country like a dark cloud for the past decade. The United States has always been one of our staunchest allies, whom we've always been able to turn to in difficult times. It was critical to resolve a relationship of trust to ensure future collaboration on issues of mutual interest. The resumption of aid to our police force was welcome news to our officers and to all our citizens. This means that training will be immediately resumed for our officers, as well as aid and support in many areas. This is a major breakthrough for our country. This week, CARICRIS report had been published, which maintained our credit rating and projected a stable outlook. This report provides confidence to our lenders that our country is heading in a positive direction. Importantly, it indicated that the maintenance of our debt was adequate as a result of our current and projected recovery from tourism and the impact of our current and projected construction projects. I am incredibly proud to report this to you, given the enormity of the challenge that our country has been facing. Like the rest of the world, the report shows that St. Lucia is one of the best performing countries in this region, and that the efforts of this United Workers' Party government are working. Whilst we celebrate the many gains we have made as a country over the last 5 years, we know we have not done it alone. Thousands of ordinary St. Lucians have helped to rebuild our country, not least among them our party members, who have supported our members of parliament and our candidates at the constituency level. I thank you all for your commitment to your communities and to the work of the party. Thank you as well to the social organizations who support the government's programs. You truly made our jobs easier. From a personal perspective, I wish to publicly thank the members of my cabinet, and in particular their families, for their hard work and support. I am proud of the collective successes achieved in trying times. When we took office 5 years ago, we could never have predicted COVID-19. But despite the difficulties, the long hours and the many sleepless nights coming up with solutions about how we would prevail as a country and as a people, I will forever appreciate the trust you placed in me and my team and the opportunity to serve you. In the coming weeks, you will learn more of our plans for recovery, regeneration, and the renewal of our lives in St. Lucia. You will hear our vision for a new St. Lucia and what it will mean for you, your children, and successive generations. I invite you to continue working with us so that our successors will look back in years to come and acknowledge the efforts we made together to secure their future. The circumstances of life as we know it now will mark this as one of the most important elections that any of us alive today is likely to face in our lifetimes. We truly are at a crossroads. That's why it's so important that you listen and evaluate the plans and programs that we put forward by the political parties. We know this is not an ordinary election. This is an election for the ages. Whilst the Labour Party has been beating pans, we've been busy making plans. And these plans are for your future. Plans which are designed to help hard-working St. Lucians and to develop our country by moving it forward. I am confident that when you hear how the UWP plans to rebuild our country and to turn challenges into opportunities, that you will have no doubts about returning us to office. I also want you to remember the state of the country just prior to the last general election and the plans and programs that the UWP brought to the electorate to rescue the country from a tired, bankrupt government that had no new ideas to solve the many problems facing the country. In fact, you may well recall that Kenny Anthony presented no budget in 2016, opting instead to dissolve Parliament. And I quote, "For an early election to ensure peace, stability, and certainty in the country and its affairs." That sounds like a grand and selfless gesture, doesn't it? Truth be told, he did not have the money to last beyond June of 2016. St. Lucia's treasury was as empty as the Labour Party's promises. Fortunately, his only option gave you the opportunity to implement your wish for change, and with it, a new era of peace, stability, and certainty by electing the UWP. In so doing, you ensured a return to progress for our country, a fresh way of doing things, the ushering in of new ideas and a new confidence within the hearts and the minds of St. Lucians. Within our first 6 months, and with a budget that was not ours, we were able to set the country on a path of economic growth. In keeping with the requirements of the Constitution, I have today advised His Excellency the Governor General to dissolve the Parliament of St. Lucia and issue the writs of election. Given the desperate attempts by some who appear in a hurry and hungry for power, I find myself having to remind them that the parliamentary term is 5 years from the first sitting of the House, which was on July 12, 2016. and that the date of elections sits squarely within the discretion of the Prime Minister. Although my party members have been ready for the election for some time, I had three important considerations which factored into my decision as to when to call it. Firstly, we're very close to the resolution of the impacts matter after years of negotiations with the United States government. And it was critical for me as your Prime Minister to resolve this critical and long-standing issue which has so negatively affected our police force and our entire country for so many years. Secondly, looking at the fallout in other Caribbean islands which held elections during COVID, I was deeply concerned about a possible massive outbreak which could overwhelm our healthcare system. I've been working for many months trying to source additional doses of the vaccine so we could have a larger percentage of our population vaccinated before the election. We continue to work with CARICOM to try to obtain the necessary quantity to protect our people. Thirdly, and very importantly, I've been very concerned about the many disruptions which our school children have suffered over the past 18 months and only recently settled back into a normal school routine. As you all know, many schools are used as polling stations, and the time to have them readied for an election, sanitized and reorganized thereafter as classrooms would require a disruption of about a week. In all good conscience, I could not do that to them and wanted to ensure that the classes were over before elections. I recall how upset parents and teachers and students were in 2016 when the election was called before the school ended. These were the critical issues that I had to consider in determining an election date. As we head into elections, I wish to advise you all that both political parties have agreed to abide by protocols established by the Chief Medical Officer and the Police Commissioner with a view to keeping us all safe and healthy. I implore all of you to follow these. I close tonight by announcing that the general elections will be held on July 26, 2021, and that the nomination day will be July 16th, 2021. During the campaign, let us treat each other with respect and kindness. I urge all of you to stay safe, to stay strong, and to stay united. May God bless and keep you all, and may He preserve our beloved St. Lucia.